Welcome back to Learning English with Captain Binoy, Varakil, Assistant Professor, Department of English, St. Joseph College, Varakil. We are discussing assimilation, and we know that assimilation is, of course, phonemic change. It is occurring as a result of the nearby phoneme. And in the previous lecture, we discussed, previous two lectures, we discussed some important concepts related to assimilation, and we are familiar with what is known as progressive assimilation, regressive assimilation, historical assimilation, and we are just coming to the last two concepts in assimilation today. That is, of course, one is contextual assimilation and the other is what is known as negligent assimilation. Alright, so when words are put together to form sentences or compound words, a sound may be replaced by another one having greater resemblance to the adjoining or neighboring sound. And this kind of the attempt of one sound to resemble, to be more similar to the adjoining or next or nearby sound is what is known as contextual assimilation. Contextual assimilation, and it is very clear from, of course, an example. Okay, so we have a compound. We have word like horse. All right, we have horse, right, and it is always horse. We say horse, right, and we have another word like shoe. All right, shoe, and this is in fact it is horse, right, horse shoe, and here we have the sound s, and here we have, of course, the sound sh. Okay, so when we say horse shoe, of course, from the alveolar, s is alveolar, horse, and sh is, of course, palato-alveolar. So the tongue has to quickly move from the alveolar position to, of course, the palato-alveolar position. And that is, of course, two different locations in the palate or, of course, the roof of the mouth. And it is difficult, right? So what happens is, in this particular context of horseshoe, a compound word, we say, horse plus shoe is, of course, horseshoe, and this particular sir and sh, right, it has to undergo some change. It is undergoing some change, and because it wants to be, of course, in greater resemblance, this particular sound is replaced by the second sound, and we say horseshoe. Okay, we say horseshoe. Let's translate that. It is, of course, horseshoe. All right, it is horseshoe, and this type of, so sir is replaced by sh, or rather sir is just lost, and this type of an assimilation or sound change is known as, of course, contextual assimilation. Okay, it's very easy to understand. All right, and now we come to what is called the negligent assimilation. Contextual assimilation is, of course, in this particular context of the nearby sounds being different, like alveolar and palato-alveolar. Alright, the sound is attempting to be all the more palato-alveolar, and the alveolar sound is deleted, or rather, the alveolar sound is, of course, just dropped, and it is known as contextual assimilation. And now we, of course, come to what is known as negligent assimilation. And in yet another different kind of assimilation, the negligent assimilation, okay, one sound is just neglected, or rather, that is, of course, it is dropped, and the sound is not just articulated with any kind of seriousness, right? Rather, we can say that negligent assimilation is a kind of sound change or assimilation that is rising from what is called negligence or carelessness. We don't care attitude, I don't care attitude, and that is what is known as negligent assimilation. Let's look at an example. We have what is known as standpoint. Okay, this is my standpoint. All right, we have what is called standpoint. Okay, standpoint, and remember it is standpoint. So sometimes you don't exactly completely care for standpoint because you have stand. All right, it is of course right to in stand, and it's rather slightly difficult to say standpoint from, of course, right, the ter position to the a position, and of course to the in and the position. And what you do, you just do not want to be very careful, right? So you are rather careless, you are negligent, and you say standpoint, and it becomes standpoint is becoming what is known as standpoint. Okay, point, and this is in fact it is becoming standpoint, and this kind of standpoint, this kind of a this is negligence. Okay, assimilation rising from negligence is what is known as negligent assimilation. And now, of course, with this we can come to the end of the very discussion of assimilation. What is assimilation? Assimilation refers to the change of one sound under the influence of yet another sound. All right, there are different types of concepts or assimilations, like progressive assimilation, regressive assimilation, historical assimilation, and contextual assimilation. And now, of course, negligent assimilation. We have learned everything very clearly. Thanks a lot for listening. May God bless you.